This story begins by telling us that when every player was immersed in a game on PC or phone with great enthusiasm, no one could have imagined that the future that everyone dreamed of so much would materialize so easily. And no one knows where it started. A fully immersive virtual game that doesn't require manual control has emerged. Anyone can get a gaming helmet if they leave their contact details on the official website. It wasn't just a helmet, but something like a key that opens the gate to another world, and this other world was called the Underworld. The action then takes place about 1 kilometer from the newcomer's village. There appeared a character named Zhang Xiao. His category was swordsman. Level 3, of combat characteristics he had, attack, 165, defense, 155, speed, 10, defense against magic, 3, of other he had a critical damage of 1%, of weapon he had a fire sword without the possibility of improving the level, of characteristics was fire damage, attack, 7. The guy thought it was awkward, because the weapons found in the newcomer's village were completely worthless. A spirit of poverty flew near him, taking it as an insult. The guy used a strengthening spell on the sword. The spirit explained that he wasn't laughing at him, he was just introducing himself by his name. But the guy knew it and conditioned it on the fact that he was just homesick at heart. It was also explained that the spirit of poverty is a unique kind of spirit that appears on the first floor of the King of Hell. They are rare. After killing falls from 300 to 500 gold coins, so can also fall out crystals. The guy received a system notification stating that the number of poverty gods he had killed had reached 20, he was congratulated for winning the title of ridiculously poor, but he was furious about this title, he didn't realize whether he could keep exterminating them. A stealth attack was used on the guy, but he didn't know who it was. Watching the guy from the side, some demons in black appearance noticed that the guy got a good prey. Someone from their crowd saw the amethyst and decided that with it, he could raise his bow level. They also did not understand how the guy was able to get out of the village of newcomers with such equipment, but praising him, they also noticed that he was brave in this case. The fire enhancement spell cost the guy 50 gold coins, he was thankful that he had gotten a more valuable amethyst. Turning back he saw a certain squad. In the squad were the garbage man, Jin Dashao, team leader A and other guys. The leader advised him not to be picky, after all, fly meat is still considered meat. He thought that the more of these simpletons among the players, the better. A squad mate noticed that he reached level 10 in just a few days. He thought that killing players is more interesting than hunting monsters. The guy saw their squad, realized that they are RK players and it is problematic. The game explained that except for the newbie village and urban areas, PvP mode will be enabled by default. After killing another player his ID will be marked red by the system. RK players are those players who frequently hunt and kill other players for gear and gold. A guy from their squad immediately said that the kid's head would be his, but the leader didn't deny it, noting that no one would take it away if everyone shared the gold coins. The guy, however, was confident and claimed the squad wasn't skilled enough to rip his head off. At this moment, he used a smoke bomb and started running away. Someone was puzzled how he could spend 100 gold coins to buy some smoke. The guy on the contrary thought it was his brilliant plan. He bought this thing that saved his life. His words were interrupted by a certain blue ray piercing through him. It was a special skill called Heart Arrow. It was used by one of the members of Squad A. The guy was not surprised that the gunner had already unlocked his special skill. Approaching him, another member of Squad A informed him that weak roosters should obediently die without causing others difficulty. A squad member approached him, assured the guy that they would take his gold coins and amethyst and flashed his sword. The boy was sad because so many days of hard work had been wasted. He promised to deal with them after he was stronger. It pained him to admit that everything felt very intense in this game. If you were killed in the game, it feels like your real body is dying too, feeling pain and powerlessness. If a player dies, they must go offline for an hour. This may be a punishment or it may be a precaution, as dying twice in a row can make a player go insane. The guy thought he needed to rest for a while and eat something. There was still some left over from last day's noodles and he needed to wash the bedding. Turning to address him in Your Highness, the two girls noticed that their lord was awake. The guy didn't understand how he ended up out of his little one-bedroom that he was renting. He didn't realize what kind of place it was, and what kind of girls it was. One of the girls asked if he was happy with the hairstyle she'd done, but he was furious because he didn't realize what this place was and how he'd come to look like this. After worshipping him, they explained that this was his palace pit. Upon reflection, he came to the conclusion that perhaps he hadn't gone offline, but had simply moved to another level. One of the girls who worshipped him took the blame, and was ready to be punished. Hearing this, the fellow was misunderstood, for he was called a king. Feeling like a boss, he decided that now he could move mountains and do whatever he wanted. Only wanting to order the girl to do something, he was interrupted by another girl reporting that the spirit emperors from the 4 sides of the world had arrived. The northern spirit emperor wished to hand him a data report on the Underground Realm game. The guy thought the data report from the launch sounds like it doesn't sound like something an NPC would say. A certain little blue man orders everyone to rise. His Majesty the Lord of Hell has appeared. Seated at the table, the guy thought that there was a very strange atmosphere. The girl that came with the guy didn't understand where the devil emperors of the 4 countries were. After all, only the assistants had come there. The Eastern Devil assistant explained that their devil emperors are very busy, they don't have free time to come to this meeting, so they sent them away, and the Lord of Hell, unlike their devil emperors, sits idle in the palace every day. The girl was furious. What an outrage she thought it was. She asked him what his rank was and how dare he address His Majesty the Lord of Hell in such a manner. The guy announced that the matter was very urgent and they were starting a meeting. The Eastern Devil assistant was surprised that the Hell Lord was very calm today, because he was not like himself. He could not be angered. It showed that he had become even more calculating. When he was going to return, he should definitely warn the Devil Emperor to be more careful. At that moment, the hologram in the middle of the conference table lit up. It went on to say that it had only been 3 months since the game's open test, and already 3 million users had entered the underworld through this game. In addition, they still did not realize that they were in the real afterlife. They thought it was obvious that they had made great progress in transforming the underworld. The mechanism is set up so that whenever a player is defeated in combat, whether it be a battle between players or a battle against one of their devils who is a guest NPC, the player loses energy which is absorbed by the afterworld. They specifically controlled the amount of energy absorbed, so after getting injured, the player only feels fatigue, thanks to which their life is not in any danger. According to the power classification, starting from the first layer of the underworld, the tongue-pulling prison, the monster's combat ability will increase, so they can continue to gather the energy of higher-level players. When a player kills their monster, it is reborn in a well of continuous rebirth and can be reintroduced into a new game at any time. A diagram depicting the 3 layers of the underworld was presented, explaining that up until now, 3% of the players had already fallen to the 3rd layer of the underworld, the Ironwood Prison. 43% had penetrated the 2nd layer of the underworld, the Sword-Killing Prison, and 54% of the players were still on the 1st layer of the underworld, the Tongue-Pulling Prison. The girl explained that all of the above was a summary of the current situation. The first 5 layers of hell are under the protection of the Eastern Devil Emperor. She wished for his representative to report the specific situation. The Eastern Devil's assistant didn't know where he should start, so let the Lord of Hell ask him anything he wanted to know about. There was a dead silence at the table. He thought that this silence was an attempt to intimidate him. The assistant of the Eastern Devil Emperor saw the formidable Lord of Hell, but in his heart, Zhang Xiao was worried and thought that this is not a game but a real hell. All the NPC, monsters and even the boss are real demons. According to him, his body is not the body of a fictional character in the game at all, but the body of a real Lord of Hell. The Eastern Devil Emperor's aide decided that since the Lord of Hell had no questions, he would start preparing to leave. He said that now, there were a lot of rookie players in the tongue-pulling prison. The Devil Emperor was going to send him to the Peach Valley to reap the harvest. At this, he bowed out. He was about to leave, but he was called out by the Lord of Hell with a question about gathering the players' energy, whether it would harm their lives. Someone from across the table asked why then some players went into oblivion after gathering their energy. The assistant didn't know what they were talking about. He indicated that they designed the game and he was just a journeyman and a pawn. He didn't know anything else. The girl that came with the Lord of Hell explained that now all the players are in the territories under their jurisdiction. She asked if they had done anything to them that the Lord of Hell had forbidden. She said that His Majesty the Lord of Hell had repeatedly warned not to, don't absorb too much energy to prevent fear from the living people, and they dared to disobey the order. Standing up on the table, the Eastern Devil Emperor's assistant began to explain that he was a demon general, a demon of destruction who was under the command of the Eastern Devil Emperor. To her, he pointed out that she was a servant and how dare she shout at him. At this moment, the Lord of Hell sensed danger. The Lord of Hell can see the characteristics and weaknesses of other creatures, also he saw the characteristics of the demon general. He was about to attack, but the girl who came with the Lord of Hell repulsed his attack and explained that he was a threat to His Majesty and must die. At this, the Lord of Hell declared the meeting closed. Leaving there, the Lord of Hell and his assistant were talking. He was confused because the problem is serious and does not know what to do next. The girl asked where he was going. He wanted to go for a walk but asked if there was anything planned. He was supposed to go swimming according to the assistant. At this point he found himself on a pier with several girls who thought he had done a good job. Shyly he explained that he hadn't labored at all. In his opinion, excitement causes this ability, but why the girls had no characteristics, only some strange numbers, he wondered. From behind, someone ordered someone to help His Majesty go inside. It was his assistant. She thought he had been working hard lately. After bathing, he should have rested. Just after rejoicing, a system notification arrived, stating that Zhang Xiao had returned to the game. He asked Zhang Xiao if he knew about the game Underworld. According to him it is popular recently. Zhang Xiao said that he knew, but he did not trust it, because it can be played for free. That's why he insisted that his brother not do anything rash. It's not like that helmet is emitting radiation and harming his health, but his brother had been notified that closed testing had recently begun and he thought it was a sin to miss it. A few days later, Zhang Xiao observes a picture of a child being taken away by an ambulance. The doctor reports on the state of health of the mother of the injured child. He said that the specialist examined the victim 3 times, but did not find the cause of the coma. Now the victim is in a state of vegetable. It remains only to wait for him to wake up. He advised her to prepare psychologically. Sobbing, the mother did not understand why her child had not listened before, because she had told him many times not to play it, but he did not listen. All day long he sat in that helmet, did not even know how to rest. Zhang Xiao didn't understand why his beloved brother had fallen into a coma. With the words that he must learn the truth, he put the helmet on. Appearing in the village of newcomers, he realized that there turns out to be not a game but a trap. They hunt for the life force of people. It was no surprise to him that players on the networks write about fatigue after playing the game. It is now clear why players are forcibly disconnected after death. Zhang Xiao hurried as hard as he could, but when he stopped, he was furious. Why was he killed but not disabled? A certain girl was running behind him. She asked him to stand back and jumped just over him. Nearby players were surprised by the girl. One of them believed that she had not had time to just leave the village, and had already paid for the fancy equipment. She was also wearing wandering speed shoes, which are opened only with donations. Zhang Xiao was dazzled by her beauty, but after coming to his senses, he continued running. There were level 1 savages in the forest around the newcomers' village. Splitting the savage into pieces with his sword, Zhang Xiao thought that, in any case, one should first rush to the Peach Blossom Valley and stop that guy. Collecting the bones, he remembered what the Eastern Devil assistant had said about harvesting. Could it be that Zifeng was hit by the harvesting? so he is in a coma, was Zhang Zhao's guess. He felt that if he could advance further in the underworld, he would definitely get more information. Parallel to this, it tried to save, but an error appeared. However, he assumed that this bug must be beyond the expectations of the demon of destruction who was at the meeting. According to him, he has no idea of its existence, but he does know of its plans. Hearing a scream in the woods, he decided to check what was going on. It was that hurried girl. She was trying to fight swamp monsters. It was Zhang Zhao's observation that she hadn't met these mobs before. He didn't understand how to deal with them at first either. Zhang Zhao realized that what he needed most right now was money and equipment. He thought that if he could hug her legs, he could use it for future adventures. All he had to do was to find a way to make her stay in his debt. The swamp monsters were about to devour her. Zhang Zhao remembered that before the battle with the monsters, he had obtained an ice soul crystal. The ice soul crystal turned any weapon into an ice weapon for a short time. Starting to run towards her at full speed, at that moment he was awakened. The Lord of Hell awoke to questions about his condition. There were several servant girls near him. They did not realize whether he was all right or not, for he suddenly fainted. He asked if the demon emperors had already arrived, but was told they had already left. Furious at this news, he didn't realize if it was a riot or not. After all, he hadn't even started the meeting yet and already someone had let them leave. The maids asked him not to get too excited and explained that the Lord of Hell himself had attended the meeting and even listened to the report. Someone asked if he needed a doctor. But he answered negatively and as he was leaving, ordered him to kneel. He realized that something was wrong with his body. He assumed it might have been because of them. Zhang Zhao flew past the swamp demons, smashing them with his blade. There were parts of these demons left in the crystals. A couple of them Zhang Zhao had caught. But the effect of the soul ice crystal had ended, which he hadn't actually expected. The swamp monsters began to surround him as at that moment the girl leaps over him with the crystal. As she landed on the ground, she created ice blocks around her. She would have been glad if she had known that it was possible to counter the swamp demons with ice, and thought that knowing that would have been a no-brainer. She was curious to know how Zhang Zhao knew that ice attacks were effective against swamp monsters. He also explained to her that there were NPCs in the newbie village selling short pamphlets about the tongue-pulling prison. It described ways in which you could defeat novice mobs. The girl didn't realize she'd bought this guide herself. But she didn't realize where to actually find a large cluster of these mobs and asked for advice. Zhang Zhao explained that he didn't buy this guide, but only took one look when the NPC was shown. The head is the main source of his power. He can memorize everything at a glance. Zhang Zhao was already leaving and advised her to finish pumping early, otherwise, she would waste the cool equipment in vain. She called out to him and asked if they could team up. The girl explained that she had been in this game for 3 days and couldn't still pass the forest surrounding the newcomer's village. If he would go with her, she would be very grateful. He asked her how she would repay him, for he was accustomed to acting alone, and did not see why he should take a burden, suggesting what he intended by his plan. After showing all of her items, she told him that she had money and offered to take whatever he needed from the items. Inside herself, the girl thought he was a dishonest man, because if she had a choice, she would not have asked him for help. She thought that many people are willing to play with her for free, and he resents it. Re-questioning whether the girl was definitely not a man in reality, they were about to move. At this moment, the ground beneath them began to crack. A huge red beam appeared not far from them. Zhang Zhao started to explain that at this time, at this place, but then he just grabbed her hand and they ran together. He thought that it was fortunate that there was a single rare elite dungeon near the newcomer village. To his knowledge, only from level 5 could one confidently challenge events and receive rewards, but if there was a person with weapon storage, it would be worth a try to fight. In the vicinity of the entrance to the legendary epic cave stood 3 characters, hope of the whole winery, handsome from the magazine cover and super dicker. Savage was glad they were the first and told to turn up their noses. This time they would definitely clean out the dungeon. At this moment, turbocharged bananas flew at them from behind. All three characters were thrown by this. It was Zhang Xiao and the girl. They secretly used the banana peel and ran away. They fell into a portal and the entrance temporarily closed. The time of the next opening was unknown. One of the squad realized that the dungeon that opens every 10 days and they missed it. Another one of their squad reassured them that there was no need to worry. Those who had gotten in there didn't have very high levels. This dungeon they couldn't go through because of that. He was just going to wait for them to come out and then deal with them. Another guy suggested that if they came through and took their loot, what would happen in that case? The guy with the glasses, however, didn't believe it and advised me to read the guidebook. He explained that there were a total of 5 dungeons near the newbie village, divided into bravery, combat power, ingenuity, speed, and luck. The first 4 were understandable to them. The challenges were appropriate for the level of players. The difficulty of passing is low. There is nothing special in the rewards, but the dungeon luck is completely different, because it is completely tied to luck. The monsters in this dungeon appear randomly every time. In addition, their properties are directly opposite. If they want to defeat, you need a proper weapon. Even if lucky enough to get in, you need to defeat 3 random monsters to pass. All the weapons of the players from the newcomer village are unsuitable. Even if you can find a rare weapon of one of the 5 elements, it still won't help. That was the reason why the guy with the glasses teamed up with the squad, because there are at least 3 people who can go through this dungeon, and their weapons are different. While already in another place, the girl is surprised by a high-level monster. She was pleased and praised the game for being done not badly. To the character design she thought was approached quite well. Guy thought what would happen if he said there were real demons in this game. The guy explained that if they wanted to pass, they had to push back from restraining the features. He told her to stand behind and support him. He also asked if after passing they would split the experience in half. The girl agreed. Zhang Xiao picked up the flaming sword and told the girl to focus on his instructions. He began to fight the warrior and noticed that he had a good weapon in his hands, much better than his old sword. The first monster was defeated. Next it was attacked from behind by a huge beast. Asking for a thunder vine, he noticed that the enemy had a very high speed. Applying the thunder vine on him, the demon was defeated in an instant. Not understanding what the third enemy would be, Zhang Xiao began to be enveloped in ice, right up to his head. But just by trying to attack him, at the same moment the ice enveloping him crumbled. His only armor just happened to be earth armor. It was as if Lady Luck herself was telling them to pass this dungeon. After grabbing the crystal, which was pleasing to Zhang Xiao, a kind of portal with a monster appeared near them. He congratulated them on passing the Lucky 3 test. They reached new levels. Zhang Xiao went from level 4 to level 8, and the girl went from level 2 to level 7. They also received a weapon quick blade with the skill of thunderstep and increased movement speed, was received accessory vanishing ring. Its skill is an increase in resistance to magic by 20%, as well as can become invisible for 5 minutes, but the speed will be reduced to 50%. Still got the Phoenix Crown. It increases defense by 10%, passively has a 30% chance of deflecting attacks. Zhang Xiao decided that he would only take the blade so that the girl could take the other 2 items. She on the other hand thought that the Phoenix Crown was part of the set and wanted to buy the other parts. Zhang Xiao explained that she is rich, but the equipment found in that dungeon is limited. It is not sold anywhere. The girl was upset. First she decided to improve her characteristics. Zhang Xiao asked if she was really going to put all her soul points into courage, but she didn't understand what the big deal was. After all, she was a swordsman. Zhang Xiao scoffed and said that she didn't know anything about games, but decided to explain to her how the boosting mechanics in this game worked. Each player starts with 100 experience points. the experience needed to level up will be 0.5 times the maximum experience points. This means she needed 50 points to get to level 2 and then 75 for level 3. Players gain 3 soul power points every time they level up. They can improve their characteristics using soul power points. They cannot be returned, so she must be careful when choosing improvements. From the above, he went on to say that even though she is a fencer, she needs to consider other qualities to be well-rounded. He cited that if she raised her strength to the highest level, she would move at a snail's pace. She would be easily killed by an archer from a long distance. The girl thought it was very complicated, but Zhang Xiao calmed her down and simply said that it didn't matter and let her swing what she wanted. Zhang Xiao's advice was to better focus on combat power until level 15, so he would distribute his points in a 2-to-1 ratio to bravery, determination, and intelligence. Since he didn't know what exclusive skills his character would possess, he decided to wait for a while before rocking the pit. At this point she was also done. Even though he's a level higher, her attack and defense is still better. Next, at the entrance of the dungeon, they were coming out of the portal and Zhang Xiao told them to hurry up, for they had delayed too long. The second they stepped on the ground, their feet began to be encompassed by some vines. It turned out to be an ambush squad that Zhang Xiao and the girl had stunned and infiltrated the portal. 2 warriors flew at Zhang Xiao, but with just a flash of his blade, he toppled the 2 of them in the blink of an eye. They were surprised how a level 4 player was able to slash their weapons. They noticed that Zhang Xiao and the girl were pumped up. They managed to sweep the dungeon. One of the victims realized that he couldn't defeat them and asked the old wine to protect them. But the guy with the glasses would run away and say that mages are the slowest and have the lowest defenses. They should instead protect him. Zhang Xiao had no desire to attack the other players, but since they guys attacked first, Zhang Xiao would not be deterred. The girl yelled that they were a bunch of weaklings and asked her not to run away, but Zhang Xiao asked her to watch him carefully. He wanted to show her something. Zhang Xiao asked the girl what was next, whether she would follow him or on her own. She, on the other hand, was excited about their duet, so if he didn't mind, she wanted to move with him. Warming up, he advised to hurry up. They needed to get to the Valley of Peach Blossoms before dusk the next day. He warned that he'd slow down a bit, but she'd better keep up. Turning into a night ghost outfit that increases movement speed by 15%, she told him that he should worry about whether or not he could keep up with her. Zhang Xiao was amazed by her beauty and she noticed it, explaining that she had carefully chosen the outfit in the store. If any man saw it, he would definitely get excited. But he no longer understood why she bought the assassin's costume if she was a swordsman. If she wanted to increase her movement speed, she could just buy storm boots or a thunder speed amulet, thought Zhang Xiao. Assassins could increase their magic resistance and sense if they wore this outfit, but it only increased their movement speed. The girl was pissed off by this and hurried him to go already. Zhang Xiao understood that she was angry because of the failed seduction, but he was sure that if it was the past him, he would have submitted. It didn't matter to him now though, as he had seen so much more. Zhang Xiao noticed and didn't understand why everyone was heading to the Peach Blossom Valley. The girl said that news had spread that there would be rare items, so everyone wanted to get them. She was surprised that he didn't know. He admitted to not paying attention to the bulletin board, in which case the girl didn't understand why he wanted to go there. By outlining for the girl what he would tell her when the time came. When they reached the place, they saw already a valley of peaches. She asked him to hurry, for she wanted the others to pick everything here. But Zhang Xiao assured her to take a break, but she did not understand it. In her opinion, if they did not go now, they would be left with bare heels. He explained that right now most of the high-level players should be in the valley, and his equipment is bad, so he will go straight into the tiger's mouth if he enters now. It's better to wait outside and observe. She was furious. Didn't he need these items? But Zhang Xiao swept up that they only had random equipment, so they couldn't use it effectively. He was in a hurry to get there, so he couldn't update his equipment in the newcomer village. The girl didn't understand what made him think there wasn't a store there, in parallel deciding to look at the map. She found one store, at the foot of the mountain, thinking it was luck, but Zhang Xiao would not have taken her this road if there were no stores there. When they came to the store at the foot of the mountain, the salesman would ask if they wanted to buy gear or sell resources. The girl decided firmly to buy something and asked to be shown everything he had in stock. The vendor opened the equipment cabinets and gave 10 minutes to choose. Zhang Xiao was not happy, because in a newcomer village, the fire spell sold for 50 gold coins, but there for 200, it was a robbery in his opinion. A gold coin is equivalent to $1 in real life. The vendor grudgingly replied that he should go back to the newcomer village in that case. Poor guy. Zhang Xiao was waiting for the salesman to say this. He convinced him not to worry, especially for him he would buy. The girl also did not like these words. She frightened him that she could beat him. Deciding to see how much she had on her balance, she realized there wasn't much left, although there was 3 million on her balance. Skeleton and Zhang Xiao were surprised by her words about not having much left. A temporary event has appeared, Valley of Bloodbath. In this event, random rewards will be dropped when attacking monsters. Players who deal lethal blows to monsters will receive rare equipment. Many people stood and did not understand where the monsters were. Everyone already thought they were being fooled. Someone had to leave. An earthquake started. No one realized what was happening. At that moment, the demon general appeared and people started to attack him. They thought that by attacking him they would get their rewards. But the demon general defeated almost all of them with a single blow of his axe. The remaining people didn't understand why everyone died from a single blow and why such a monster appeared at the first level. The monster was happy to finish off the remaining humans, but from behind him arrows and Molotov cocktails flew into him that he couldn't feel. Those who shot were other players sitting in the bushes. They thought that long-range attacks were more effective. One of them convinced that you should use your brain even when playing games. The remaining players realized that the monster was very strong and they would lose. They began to retreat. The demon general decided he wasn't going to let any of them escape and slammed both hands on the ground. Each of the remaining players had lost 90% of their XP, even though it was an AoE attack. They all realized they were too low on XP and the next attack would kill them all. He stopped and suspected something. A blue ball appeared near him and he shrouded himself in ice crystal. It was the girl that was with Zhang Xiao. She told him not to stand and run away. The demon general thought that their efforts were worthless. Then he destroyed the crystal that enveloped him. He tried to find the person who did this. At this moment, Zhang Xiao flew at him from above. Players saw someone attacking the demon general. They thought it was a whale, gaming term for people who spend a lot of money on in-game purchases. The demon general was furious as to how someone dared to create an ambush for him, but Zhang Xiao had prepared better this time. He realized that it was necessary to attack the demon general before he could recover and attacked. Players were shocked by Zhang Xiao's critical strike combo. How could a beginner use a technique of such a high level? The demon general was furious that this was already the 10th combination and each one dealt double damage compared to the previous one. Zhang Xiao realized that his sword was good, but its use was limited. He thought that if he could save so many players at the cost of one sword, it would be worth it. But in an instant, the demon general's health blocked, after which he threw a wave of strike at Zhang Xiao. The players were surprised that he lost so little health when he took a direct hit. They thought that if you're loaded with money, you can really do whatever you want. Zhang Xiao realized that it was getting troublesome. Further, he noticed that his knees were his weak point. He decided to try and see if the health lock would work when he attacked his weak spot. The demon general decided to see if Zhang Xiao could withstand his blow and struck the ground. Zhang Xiao had 10% XP left and had a cooldown of 5 seconds, but was confident that it would be enough for him. The demon general realized what Zhang Xiao wanted to do and told him that it wouldn't work, because he needed at least 6 seconds to get close to him. Zhang Xiao flew at him, the demon general was sure that he wouldn't make it in time, but Zhang Xiao activated the swift blade skill and struck. At this moment, a notification came in congratulating him for dealing the final blow to the demon general. Rewards would be distributed soon. The demon general disappearing said that Zhang Xiao knew about his weakness, he would remember him and come back for him. This was a problem for Zhang Xiao, for he had exposed himself. If this was reported to the Pit King, he would be in danger. Taking the girl by the hand, they started running. She did not understand why, but Zhang Xiao explained that he did not know for sure, but the situation was urgent. He decided they should find a hiding place so she could kill him. The girl didn't understand why she'd want to kill him, but he'd said there wasn't much time now. He asked her when she went offline to call 0325-698-2221 to inquire about Zhang Xiao's condition. He offered to meet her in 3 days at the newcomer village at midnight and then he would tell her everything. He had little health left and was rushing her. It took her a long time to make up her mind, but she ended up thrusting her sword into him. Zhang Xiao said that it was nothing compared to death in real life. The pain he experienced was comparable to when one's energy was taken away. At this moment, the Lord of Hell woke up, with an assistant sitting beside him. He rose abruptly, apologizing for the inconvenience, but she asked him not to say that. Talking about his condition, he explained that he was a little dizzy. The assistant didn't realize if the Lord of Hell was feeling ill, because suddenly he fainted. Luckily she was there to support him, otherwise he would have hit his head. The Lord of Hell remembered the reincarnation well and asked to be taken there sooner, but the assistant reminded him that he had set it up in the 9th palace of the underworld. Agreeing to this, he asks to be taken there anyway. The assistant didn't understand what was going on with the Lord of Hell. He apologized to her and even helped her up. He had never shown her such friendliness before, but she liked it. Arriving at the Well of Reincarnation, the 9th palace of the underworld, the Lord of Hell learned that the demon of destruction had risen there 3 minutes ago and left, pouring out curses. The aide wasn't sure if someone had actually killed him. The Lord of Hell decided to see if he had said anything else. The demon of destruction was furious that someone gave away his weakness. He was going to report to the Ghost Emperor. It was important for him to catch whoever did this and teach him a lesson. The Lord of Hell and the Helper saw him and went after him. The demon general came to some wanderer. He asked him about wanting to go somewhere. The demon general needed to go to the Ghost Emperor. He asked for the fastest beast. The wanderer agreed and summoned the dark wave-cutting dragon. It was a high-speed monster. After wishing him a happy journey, the demon general went to see the Ghost Emperor. The Hell Lord and aide saw this. If the demon general got there, the Hell Lord would be doomed. He decided he wouldn't allow it and used a shockwave that sliced the dragon in half and tossed the demon general into the air. Barely getting to his feet, the demon general didn't understand what it all meant. The Lord of Hell asked where he was in such a hurry and marveled at the strength of the Lord of Hell, for he only swung his hand and the dragon was cut in half. The demon general explained that he had stumbled upon something strange and needed to report it to his emperor. The Lord of Hell was sure that the demon general knew who was responsible for this plan. The Lord of Hell swept his eyes over the demon general as he reported back to the Ghost Emperor. But the demon general began to panic, did not understand how could such a lowly like him dare to look down on the Lord of Hell. He explained that someone just leaked some information. The demon general was about to leave as he had no time to argue with them. The Lord of Hell considered this a good chance to use some stealthy and small weapon to stab him in the back. But there wasn't something small and inconspicuous in the Lord's arsenal. The smallest thing was the sickle of the underworld. Turning around, the demon general didn't understand why the Lord of Hell had pulled out the ghostly sickle of the underworld. But the Lord of Hell calmed him down, saying that he just wanted to try out this weapon and indiscriminately hit the demon general. Even though he waved it haphazardly, it's still very powerful compared to his old equipment. This sickle draws energy instead of blood. The demon general said that for daring to attack him, the Ghost Emperor would not forgive the Lord of Hell for this. The Hell Lord admitted that he lied when he said he wanted to try out the weapon. It's just that the very presence of the demon general pisses him off. Anyway, if the Hell Lord kills him with the sickle, the demon general won't be able to be reborn anymore. The demon general rushed to the side asking the Ghost Emperor to save him, but the helper of the Hell Lord grabbed his head and separated his head from his body. She asked to be punished, for Feng Ying was very reckless, but the Lord of Hell supported her, saying that it was fine. It was the first time the Lord of Hell had praised her. Zhang Xiao thought since he had gotten rid of the destruction demon, his identity should be safe for now. He didn't know how long he could still stay there, so he needed to gather as much information as possible. Entering the Hell Lord's office, he asked his assistant to wait outside. He believed that the Lord of Hell was instrumental in the creation of the game. He must have important information somewhere. If he can learn the basic details of the game, then he will become invincible. At the entrance of the office, the assistant was thinking why the Lord of Hell decided to kill the demon general. She thought so because he usually says to wait and focus on the overall situation first. She assumed it was because he had tried to attack her, and if His Highness wanted to avenge her, she didn't think she would be so important in his eyes. Inside the study, the Lord of Hell was leafing through some notebook, and swept up the wonderful design of the game. This Lord of Hell is not so simple. He designed the upgrades, items and weapon mechanisms himself. This guy hid all the pass hacks himself. There's a place in the prison of the ripped out tongue where you can get double experience points. In the notebook, the Lord of Hell saw the inscription, Ghost Wave Plan. Next, the notes of the Lord of Hell are voiced. The 4 Ghost Emperors are determined to absorb massive amounts of energy from the human world. He had no choice but to remove the restrictions so that they would go feral and even be able to instantly revive. When the time comes, players will have to face an endless wave of enhanced and unkillable ghosts. Ghost Wave will start on the night of September 9th and will last for 6 hours. He was not going to let the system send out a notification of this event so as not to give players a chance and rally the forces. When the time comes, the protective barrier around the newbie village will be removed. This will allow a ghost wave to invade there and destroy the crystal, thus players will not be able to get off the internet and will be killed. But he hoped that online players could survive it. He also hoped that after getting triple the amount of experience, they would still continue playing the game and not die from the 10 to 40% increase in incoming energy. Zhang Xiao remembered that today was September 9th. He did not understand what other horrible plans the Lord of Hell had in mind. He felt sick. The feeling was similar to before. He felt it was time to leave. At this point the assistant came in and didn't understand why he was on the floor. She asked if he had fainted again. Almost wanting to help him, the Lord of Hell pulled her hand away from his, with words about whether or not he allowed her to touch him. She was very sorry. She explained that Feng Ying was arrogant and asked to be punished. Unexpectedly for Zhang Xiao, he was thrown back out. He thought he could wait out the wave of ghosts in the Hell Lord's body. Other people could go offline, but for some reason, only he had this bug. Opening the world channel, he decided that he should first inform Qian Xiaoluo that she should by no means enter the internet. The force absorption 40%, it would ruin people. He thought that on the other hand, this unpleasantness could play into his hands. He thought he could gain triple the amount of experience by killing ghosts tonight. This is definitely a great opportunity for a quick boost. The most important step is to seize a favorable position. After reaching Eagle Cliff, he climbed to the top of the mountain. The sky looked eerie and Zhang Xiao thought that something was about to start. They have already begun to appear. Those players who were in the midst of the monster hunt are probably scared to death. There are explosions at the foot of the mountain, and mandrill ghosts appear. There was a gunslinger character, Meng Mu, who had a dark light Gatling. She wasn't the least bit afraid of the monsters and instead beckoned them to her. But once those monsters went wild, she was scared of it. Zhang Xiao saw this and realized that with such heavy firepower, she must constantly move to avoid being surrounded by the enemy, but because she didn't, the ghost mandrills had cornered her, and now her death was only a matter of time. He explained about the Gatling that it was something money couldn't buy. He needed to convince her to join him, but before he did, he needed to see the rewards he'd gotten for fighting in the Valley of Peach Blossoms. Zhang Xiao was surprised at the fact that he instantly rose from level 8 to level 15. Gladly, he wanted to see if any rare items fell out. Opening the backpack, there were no newly acquired items. The game congratulated Zhang Xiao for defeating the Demon of Destruction. For this he received 10,086 gold coins. Zhang Xiao was sure that the system didn't expect the demon general to be killed at all, so it didn't set a corresponding reward. As for pumping, he decided he would deal with that later, but for now he would help that girl. Zhang Xiao jumped down from the hill and thrust his sword into the ground. He praised himself that she was on the cusp of death, but luckily he arrived in time. The girl was in shock. But under the influence of the ghost wave, the monsters will be instantly revived. At that moment he grabbed the rope, took the girl and they flew to the top of the mountain. The girl was surprised that he could still fly and what kind of special equipment he had bought. Holding out a rope to her, he explained that, a flying claw from the Rookie Village's one-stop store, it only cost 3 gold coins. She couldn't believe he had thought to prepare such a tool in advance. Zhang Xiao explained that he was just a very cautious person. She wondered if he had been hiding there all this time and how he knew that these monsters would go crazy. But he said that he had been there by accident, mining nearby and hiding when he saw what was going on around him, but inside he thought that it would be even safer for him if fewer people knew about his situation with the Lord of Hell. This was the first time she had seen a level 15 player. She decided to play with him from now on. As they walked, she asked him a myriad of questions. He was surprised by her curiosity. Zhang Xiao decided that he would once again distribute his points in a 2-to-1 ratio. He had 10 points left. Then he was going to pump the pit and activate his exclusive skill. He was curious what would happen there. After activating the exclusive Bloodlust skill, a kind of purple pit appeared. Zhang Xiao was a little scared, but he liked it. At this moment, the girl shouted about someone approaching. It turned out that they were spotted by ghost soldiers, the undead, soldiers who died in the great battles of the past. Well organized and disciplined, the strength of a single soldier is small, but in groups they are extremely strong. Zhang Xiao needed to assess the situation before deciding what to do. He asked to cover him by opening fire on the army. The girl convinced him not to sweat it, just watch her make them. She started firing the Gatling gun and she liked it. Zhang Xiao believed that there were 2 players on top of the mountain. The system would try to finish them off. As long as they are there, one must think of how they can survive the night, but as long as she has a machine gun, there should be no problem. Raising his head, Zhang Xiao saw a hail of arrows. There were too many of them. They saw that there were archers and even catapults. The girl didn't know what to do next. After all, her Gatling can't shoot far away. Zhang Xiao realized that he was careless. Since the ghost wave completely removes the restrictions of the ghosts, they probably won't miss any players. If they stay there, they will only attract more enemies to them. Zhang Xiao decided that they would give them a fight elsewhere and used the flying claw. While they were flying, he said that they would switch roles with him. He would summon the sword. Activating a quick blade, they landed down while decapitating one of the soldiers, for which they were given the title, taking down the head of a general surrounded by 1,000,000 soldiers. But the soldier came to life again and chased after them. They decided that once was enough and started running away again. The girl asked where they were going. Were they going back to hide in the newcomer village? But the newcomer village was not safe either. There was another place they could retreat to. Zhang Xiao suggested going to clear the dungeon. Being already near the source of the Earth Dragon, the girl thought that he had lost his mind. Why did he want at that very moment to fight the Earth Dragon? But he explained that the monsters on that day evening would endlessly revive, which meant that they could constantly defend the dungeons. But most importantly, thought Zhang Xiao, all the experience points they would gain tonight would triple. This was too good an opportunity to pass up. Zhang Xiao started to glow blue. The girl didn't understand why he was glowing. The girl that Zhang Xiao had originally moved with fell from the sky. She was glad that she had finally found him. She said that the newcomer village was full of ghosts, and they were generally impossible to kill. Many players who entered the network were immediately ambushed and killed by the ghosts. Luckily she had a teleportation scroll. If not for it, they would have never met. Zhang Xiao was surprised that people could still go online, but the Hell Lord's notebook clearly said that no one would be able to do so during the ghost wave. At this moment, another character appeared and started fighting with Zhang Xiao. She was told that she should stop. After all, their main priority right now was to unite, but she didn't stop and threw the dynamite at Zhang Xiao. The girls did not understand where Zhang Xiao had gone, whether he had died in the explosion. But he found himself behind the character who had attacked him and suggested to calm down. They weren't her enemy after all. He told her not to move or he wouldn't spare her, but she jumped back and threw kunai at him. He asked the two girls to help him instead of standing. One of the girls decided to see what useful items she had. Zhang Xiao asked her to find items that would not harm her, but just calm down. The second girl decided to use the grab mode with her Gatling. She released the net and grabbed them both. She warned that it's best not to move. The more you move, the more the mesh tightens. Hearing this, Zhang Xiao clung to her. One of the girls told her to immediately untangle the net. Unraveling the net, the girl that attacked them explained that this dungeon belonged to them, so they should go elsewhere. She told me that all three of her teammates died during their dungeon walkthrough. She had a location scroll. They must have gone online half an hour ago. Zhang Xiao explained that she didn't need to wait any longer. According to the Ghost Wave rules, her teammates wouldn't be able to go online this evening. It seems that the system has not been changed completely, although players can still go online. For those who died, the entrance is closed for the duration of the Ghost Wave. The girl realized then, she had let the boys enter the dungeon and she would no longer stand in their way. Zhang Xiao suggested that she team up. After all, she was already quite familiar with this dungeon. The girl that attacked Zhang Xiao had noticed that Zhang Xiao's equipment and skill level was much higher than the others from the tongue-torn prison. Although she thought his character was quite bad, that day was indeed a great time to pump up if she teamed up with them. She agreed to team up, but she wasn't going to give her contact information. After that night she made it a point not to even look for her. But Zhang Xiao did not even think of doing so. The girl thought that he thought too much of himself. Answering for him, the girl that was with Zhang Xiao decided that when she was around, why would he be interested in her? She warned me that time was limited and we had to move. Zhang Xiao decided to ask the girl what she was doing, but she explained that she was just unhappy with how arrogant the other girl was acting and asked her not to pay attention to it. Going inside the Earth Dragon source, Zhang Xiao asks about whether the girl called the number and how is the situation. In her opinion, answered her, his younger sister. She said he's been online for days and if he doesn't wake up soon, she'll call an ambulance. The girl advised him to find a balance between work and rest. After mopping up the dungeon, he should disconnect and take a break. He agreed with that. He knew inside himself that he wanted to go offline himself, but because of the bug he couldn't. He thought he should explain it to her if possible. He asked about the food. Shouldn't he be dead since he hadn't woken up for days? But the girl replied that his little sister had already taken care of that. She fed him all the leftovers, so he had gained 30 pounds in the past few days. He was horrified. They arrived at the place. The girl who led them told them that on the other side was the Earth Dragon's lair. After entering, the guys should listen to her commands if they wanted to win. After asking if everything was clear, everyone answered positively, except Zhang Xiao. He was worried about his current weight. Approaching the portal, the girl noticed that it smelled terrible. This was explained by the fact that it was the stench of the Earth Dragon's blood. The blood had not had time to dry out, as he recovered very quickly. Once inside they immediately saw the dragon. Meng Mu decided to attack it with her Gatling but was unsuccessful, the scales being too thick. The girl that led them there, told them to find a way to lure him to her and she would attack his belly, this was what her group had done the previous 2 times. Zhang Zhao's friend asked Meng Mu to get the dragon's attention, while she herself was going to attack from behind. Zhang Xiao, on the other hand, was analyzing at this moment that the other team had won the first and second times, but why did they fail in the third run? He told them to stop since they were real monsters from hell, so they wouldn't reset every time they revived. Which meant he had memories of how he died. Dragon already knew what they were trying to do, it was a trap. Zhang Xiao shouted that it was unsafe and ordered them to step back. The dragon was about to let the venom out of its mouth. Meng Mu realized that her Gatling was not damaging the dragon in any way and it was too fast, she wouldn't be able to dodge. At this moment, Xiaoluo saved Meng Mu thanks to her quick reaction. The girl who led them there was standing a few meters away from the dragon. In an instant the dragon used his skill and huge spikes emerged from the ground that pierced her. She didn't understand why he hadn't used this technique before. Zhang Xiao, putting on the golden armor, asked Xiaoluo how many thunder vines she had left. It was necessary to throw 2. They caught the dragon with thunder vines, but he immediately tore them apart. Meng Mu felt that such things would be of little use against such a high-level monster. Zhang Xiao had also noticed that the thunder vines could bind a dragon for 3 seconds. He thought that this should be enough and ordered Xiaoluo to throw 2 more of them at his command. He told them to stay away because he would deal with it. They were puzzled because even the 4 of them couldn't handle it, but he explained why he chose this dungeon, because he knows the weakness of this dragon. Next, the Lord of Hell tells us that the Earth Dragon is fully armored and newcomers will have a hard time defeating it. The girl who led them to the dungeon said that the dragon was about to let loose its spikes and they should retreat quickly. But Zhang Xiao threw a landmine under the dragon's head. It was not a simple landmine, it releases a high-pressure wave during the explosion, throwing any enemy 1 meter away, no damage is done. After hitting the mine, the dragon fell on its back. Zhang Xiao saw something like a sensor on the dragon and started to slide the dragon up to it, striking the sword on that place with the sensor. The dragon exploded. The girl asked if there was a glowing dot on the belly of his vulnerability. Zhang Xiao agreed and explained why their team lost last time. He explained that severely damaging the Earth Dragon's belly would cause it to briefly expose its weak point. Last time, their team played off the terrain to attack the belly and they must have hit that point by luck. However, the location of weak points was constantly changing. The Earth Dragon no longer exposed its belly. That was why their strategy failed for the 3rd time and they were destroyed. Zhang Xiao received a system notification congratulating him on passing the Earth Dragon Source dungeon. For him it was the necessary materials to upgrade his gear. This time he decided to make it bigger. The girls got their reward too and were surprised to see their levels go up. Zhang Xiao asked not to think about the numbers, because the next round was already starting. The girl that had led them there had admonished him to be careful with the dragon and use other methods of attack. Since this dragon is capable of learning, so the same strategy won't work twice. Zhang Xiao showed what to do. To begin with, use the thunder vine and explosive mines. They expose his abdomen and weak point. After that, you need to slip the sword from below along his abdomen. Xiaoluo did it in the next round. The girl who led them to the dragon did it in the next round. Meng Mu also did it in the next round and used her Gatling to rip open its belly. At one point, Xiaoluo found that she only had 1 thunder vine left. She was asked why she didn't stock more, but she explained that she didn't know they would fight like this. But Zhang Xiao reassured them by buying up all the thunder vines and explosive mines. He had stocked up especially for this occasion. In that case, the girls decided to do it again. Outside the Earth Dragon dungeon stood 2 messengers who had been tasked by the Lord of Hell to determine the best players, but one of them didn't understand why. The other reasoned that the mind of the Lord of Hell couldn't be questioned. Could they afford to guess at his plans? One of the messengers thought.